You may have never realized this before, but the rich make money differently than most people. You see, the majority of individuals take the predetermined route of going to school, getting a job, and working until retirement age, hoping for a break or two that will allow them to accumulate enough money to make a great life for themselves. While there is nothing wrong with this path, put bluntly, it won't make you rich. In fact, very few people truly understand what rules they must abide by in order to become rich. Therefore, in this video, I will share with you 3 money rules that only 1% of people know, and if you're new to the channel, then hit the subscribe button below for more life-changing content. Growing up, I was very lucky to have 2 supportive and hardworking parents. In fact, when I reflect on just how hard my parents worked to ensure we had enough money for everything I could ever need, it makes me realize that they may be some of the hardest working people I know. Like most people, both my parents worked typical 9-to-5 jobs and were quite frugal in their spending ways. As I got older, my parents made sure to pass along their best financial habits, which definitely helped me get a good start on my financial journey. My parents stressed the importance of scrutinizing your spending, budgeting, and preaching the fact that $1 saved is $2 earned. There's no denying that my parents bestowed upon me some valuable lessons. However, one aspect of money that they rarely touched on was how to make money. They would tell me that I needed to get a good education, and by doing so I would land in an amazing job that would satiate all my financial needs. As such, I completed 7 years of post-secondary education, acquiring 3 degrees and a CPA designation. And while I had more schooling than most of the population, I was not making as much money as I thought I would be. To be honest, when it came to the realization that my job wouldn't allow me to make the money I knew I wanted, I went through a bit of an emotional crisis. I began asking myself why I had gone down the path I did, and more importantly, why so many people get stuck earning such meager incomes. Unfortunately, I couldn't discuss this with anyone in my family, my friends, or my colleagues because they had gone down the exact same path that I did and had accepted whatever paycheck their employer would give them. So in an attempt to crack the code of earning more money, I turned to reading. I read book after book on how some of the world's richest people made their money, and out of all this time invested came 3 money rules that each successful individual followed. Here's what I learned. Rule number 1, selling time for money won't make you rich. Growing up, my dad always preached that you want to find a job where the customer wants you, and this comment stuck with me. Whenever I would look up potential majors to study in college, I would research how in demand that role was, and of course how much the average salary was. Certain jobs like a doctor or lawyer were always at the top of the list. However, those careers didn't quite pique my interest. I knew I had a liking for numbers and had always heard that accountants made good money. So without much more deliberation, I pursued a degree in business and counted down the days until I would start to see those massive paychecks come rolling in. A few years later, when I got my first job, I felt like I was beginning my journey towards financial success. I had completed a college diploma, a bachelor's and master's degree, and even my CPA, and was now ready to start making it rain. Well, that's not exactly what happened. Sure, I had followed the routine path to securing a solid job, and then some by getting multiple designations, but I had to learn that working a 9-to-5 job will never make you rich. Now, I have nothing against those who work 9-to-5 jobs, but I do get frustrated when I hear people complain that their jobs aren't paying them enough to allow them to live the financial life they desire. You see, jobs are constrained in 2 primary ways, which limit the potential for 99% of employees to become rich. First, being an employee means having an employer, and when someone else dictates your salary, you will always be on the losing end. This is because year after year, business is becoming more competitive. The need to cut costs and increase revenues is always a top priority, especially in the private sector, and one way employers love to keep their costs low is to pay their employees as little as possible. This means that your employer has every incentive to pay you as little as they can, and with the workforce being so competitive amongst applicants, many workers are forced to accept whatever salary they are offered, or else the next person in line will gladly accept it. The second problem with trying to become rich by working a 9-to-5 job is that there are only so many hours in the day for you to work. When I first decided to become an accountant, I figured that I would be earning a large enough salary to make all my financial dreams become a reality. However, when I realized I was earning my income by trading my precious hours, I saw right away how constraining this would be on my income. I've said this in other videos that until you can work 1,000 hours in a day, you can never become rich. Pick out any of the world's richest people and I bet you will notice that none of them trade their time for money. This is because they too came to the realization that swapping time for money limits your income generating ability, which is why people like Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates employ thousands of people so they can harness the output of their workers' time. So if trading time for money isn't the answer, then what is? Instead of selling your time, you should be focusing on selling something scalable. More specifically, you should be selling something that is both scalable and that solves people's problems. Bill Gates is a perfect example of someone who used this formula to get rich. When computers were still a rarity in most households, he decided that he wanted to grant the masses access to personalized computers. And through his business, Microsoft, he was able to create portable computers so people could access a computer from home. This not only solved the problem, but it provided value to millions of people, which is why Bill Gates is once again the richest man on earth. Now, I understand that not everyone is going to be able to sell to the masses like Bill Gates, but it certainly is possible to sell value even without putting in a full-time effort. This is not as difficult as it sounds, but the problem we have, however, is that most people are not trained to sell value, or anything for that matter. Unfortunately, school teaches you things like how to find the slope of a line, or how to write in cursive, but it never teaches you how to build something and present its value to others. Luckily, like most skills, selling is a skill that can be developed through education and practice, but there is one factor that is key to making this formula work, and it's your why. If you want to succeed in selling scalable value, you have to be passionate about your product or service. Take Elon Musk as a great example of someone who turned his desire to help the world progress into an impressive wealth. Whether it was through facilitating online payments via PayPal, making transportation more sustainable with Tesla, or furthering space travel with SpaceX, Musk has always followed his passions, and becoming ridiculously rich has been the byproduct. I know a lot of people look at the rich and will say that they are selfish or greedy, and that's why they make a lot of money, but as someone who has studied their journeys to success, I can tell you that's simply not the case. In fact, the opposite is true. The rich are rich because they are generous. The rich are rich because they are selfless, and I'll give you a simple example to illustrate it. After achieving significant levels of wealth, Bill Gates turned his attention to helping developing countries gain access to clean water and deter the spread of infectious diseases, which he was able to do by putting up his own money to fund the projects. Therefore, the first rule that only 1% of people truly understand is that trading time for money won't make you rich. Don't sell time, sell value instead. To create value, pay attention to other people's needs, love people, and be willing to solve their problems. Rule number 2, you must work with others to become rich. As I just explained, the first rule of money is don't sell your time. Sell value, and by sharing the value creation formula, you should now understand what actions need to be completed to grow your wealth. But how do you create value and sell value without selling your time? You use other people's time, energy, and expertise. And how do you do this? Learn how to cooperate, partner, and work with other individuals, and this can be done in 2 ways. The first is through paid work. This is the typical employer-employee relationship, which has proven time and time again to be quite effective in building wealth. Take the example of when Bill Gates was starting Microsoft. At first, he was just a single person with expertise in computing. However, as his business expanded, he needed to leverage other people's expertise to grow. He had to hire lawyers, accountants, and other engineers that can lend their knowledge in areas where Gates was less proficient. And through the gathering of all these skills, Gates was able to build one of the most successful technology companies of all time. But what if you don't have the money to hire employees to help build your business? No worries, there are ways around this, and I am a prime example. When I was first starting this YouTube channel, I had no money and had no idea what I was doing. But I was able to connect myself with some great creators who have not only become advisors to me, but friends as well. I was able to build these connections by offering business advice in exchange for knowledge on how to grow a YouTube channel, and the rest is history. Now, at this point in my YouTube journey, I am able to leverage the first method of acquiring other people's time, energy, and expertise via paid work, but I don't ever discount the value that these prior relationships have had in my own YouTube success. So when it comes to rule number 2, never forget that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Rule number 3, technology will accelerate your income. Technology has become a way of life for many of us. It greets us when we wake up, offers support and entertainment throughout the day, and is the last thing many people see before they go to sleep. Our devices are so attached to us that Elon Musk has said that humans are cyborgs, half human, half machine. Despite that omnipresence though, only 1% of people are using technology to its full potential. You see, the average tech user focuses on the entertainment side of technology. They spend hours on social media websites, playing video games, or watching television. However, the rich know that when used correctly, current technology is a catalyst for building your fortune. So how can current technology make you rich? 100 years ago, the notion that someone could be paid $100,000 per year to work primarily from home, without performing any hard labor, was unimaginable. Today, with the power and reach of the internet, numerous people are earning a living without ever having to punch in at a 9-to-5 job. This is because as you gain access to more people, your potential for revenue generation increases. Whereas the traditional 9-to-5 worker can only provide value to their employer, running an online business gives you access to millions of people. If you can convince just 10,000 people, which is a nano fraction of the total internet users, to spend $10 on your products or services, then you can easily make $100,000 a year. Therefore, if you want to see your income reach new heights, then leveraging the power of technology is essential. Thanks for watching. If you want to go from the life you have to the life you deserve, then hit the subscribe button now.